Sin is missing the mark. And when you have faith in God, that's being humble and having faith in infinite glory. Right? And when you're not humble and you don't have faith in infinite glory and you try to turn God into an invention of your head that is of first person or possessive pronoun, that's missing the mark, that's sin. Right? And you don't miss the mark. You understand, okay, God is the infinite essence of all existence, and we have an eternal existence, and it has natural laws that provide what's needed for our eternal existence. Okay, this is explained. It is explained in the Gospels. A lot of it's hard to understand, so I understand that. Because it was manipulated by people that are manipulating the world right now selfishly, so they can feel powerful, and these are symbiotic relationships that are consistent. And so the devil and Satan are people that turn God into a egotistical projection of self and a possessive pronoun in the first person. And since that's not working anymore, now there is no God and we're all animals, right? Or I'm spiritual, I'm not religious. It's like, do you believe your money's real? And do you believe you're successful because you have a lot of it? You fucktard. Because Earl, I said it. Patrick was laughing his tail off. He's like this guy. It's like, because I will say it, because we were talking about hip hop. And when his young son, handsome son, was talking about, I'm walking here. And I said, that came from a movie called Midnight Cowboy. But, so of course he also dies at the end of the movie because of abuse and poverty, trying to turn a John Voight into he's trying to be a pimp for John Voight to be a gigolo to pay his bills so he could get out of New York to go to Florida. And people, I can't believe you talk that way in front of his kids. It's like, no, it's like, it's just Tupac. And he started laughing. We go, yeah, no, it's you. I know you. We started talking about stuff and about Pac and other things. I talked about Keith Guru and just how, they were talking about stuff and Marvin Gaye. And they was talking about stuff that was reality, make me want to holler, throw up both my hands, either behind a gun or hand it to Jesus and take care of me and all that stuff. And it's not a viable alternative or solution, right? So we need to live the real truth of the Gospels, be the real truth of the Gospels. And when someone comes along and calls people on the hypocrisy, they usually get attacked and killed by the status quo keepers, like Pac and Keith and stuff. And Pac was kind of like a little bit after my generation. Mine was Guru. He was my the guy that I was like, I like this. This hip hop, this talks to me. I get this, right? But he was also raised. He liked, the kind of music I liked too as a kid, and his family was really into jazz and things like that. And I didn't just gravitate to jazz. I liked jazz on the radio. I liked Spyro Gyra. I liked Chuck Mangione. I liked George Benson, when I was a kid. So all the jazz that I had available to me. First time I heard George Benson was Mae Smith's son-in-law. He was a lawyer in Phoenix. And I had a crush on her granddaughter, and her granddaughter was older, my sister's age, and wasn't interested in me because I was younger. So I went in the room and went through his records, and that's the first time I ever heard one of my favorite. It was Leon Russell wrote it. Are we really happy here with this lonely game we play? So I sit in the room and listen to the records, and it also had the first, I think, song on the album, I think, is Breezin', right? Okay, so like, oh. And I listened to that and to this Masquerade and stuff. I didn't get to 6 to 4, which I really like. Affirmation is on that album as well, which is a Jose Feliciano tone. I actually prefer Jose Feliciano's better because I like the acoustic. But I love George's version because I heard it first. But when I heard Jose's, I was like, oh my gosh, he's the one who wrote it, right? He wrote it after he read a book from a yogi that really he connected to. And like Fantasy by Earth, Wind, and Fire, it's not realistic. Okay, it's not real. Okay, people to fill in the gaps of things they don't understand, they make stuff up. As you stay for the play, fantasy has in store for you. Many lives have brought you to. 'Cause your day, giant day, all your dreams come true. It's like, no. 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 It's not all about you, kid. And once you understand the humility and the wisdom and the gratitude for the glory of life, and that the laws provided to sustain it and all of us relate to all of us, it's not all your dreams come true. And your dreams should be tender boy, gentle boy, tender girl. Their love was so, but their hearts were full of spring. And then one day they died, and their graves were side by side. Your dreams shouldn't be, I was the great savior. I was the great teacher. I was the great icon. Your dreams should be Billy Davis Jr. and Marilyn McCoo, right? You don't have to be a star, right? And it's interesting, but there's a funny, like Johnny Mathis. Small world, isn't it funny? You're a girl who likes children. That's an important sign. Funny, 'cause I'd love to have children. Small world, isn't it? I was watching the stuff Doppler Dave with the kiddos at the Sageside Elementary School, and the little faces, and they were listening and paying attention. They're so cute. And when I saw the children tonight at the store and with their families and their parents, and guys, the Lord's Prayer is too perfect to be denied. Okay. And there's nothing better for kids to inherit on planet Earth than the eternal perfection of the actual linguistics and applied physics of it. Okay. Forgive, debt, and trespass, love one, eternal, faithful peace. So you go away from this idolatry and this egotistical invention and perception, and you go back to the start to begin. Life's eternal, grace is infinite, share, care, given accordance, need, built to last. Right? And so it's the Lord's Prayer is a deliverance of evil of the Roman Empire in Europa, turning God into an egotistical projection. And now God doesn't exist for animals. Bullshit. Okay. Bull fucking shit. I know my son likes Slipknot, but they're wrong. Okay. When you have symbiotic relationships, you have similar DNA, okay, to animals, okay. But I don't ever recall being an ape or a frog, or a dog, or a cow. Maybe a cow. No, not a cow. What do I like to eat the most? Okay, a carrot. Okay, so a rabbit. No, I'm just kidding. You Wascowee wabbit. Okay. Carrots. I like carrots. Right? I'm just kidding around. But no, I don't have any memories like that. Okay. As far back as I can feel and see in meditation and prayer and stuff like that, it's always been sharing memories with, gentle boy, tender girl, their hearts. So Adam and Eve, it's as far back as I go. It's a long time ago. Yeah. I don't believe that my prayers and meditations when I was in the military at Pope Air Force Base were with people 10,000 years ago. I believe it was because of the genetics and the size and the and the symbiotic and the creatures that were around that they had to deal with on a daily basis. That I believe they were bigger. Okay. I believe the archaeological finds were corrupted by Europeans that didn't want their genetics and their origin to go to larger and bigger but similar brain development from black people. Okay. I believe that's what happened. Yeah. I don't know how many are. I don't think the archaeological finds for a long period of time, like me and Yvonne and Ledrick talked about, would have strayed really too far. You wouldn't have needed to. If you had a good river valley and you got to the point where you established a hunter-gatherer type situation where you didn't have to hunt as well because you've got good at forms of domestication because of animals that are more docile as opposed to, the shepherd, the herder, and then having to keep the aggressive predatory animals away, and also human beings that think they're animals. Okay. And so the diaspora, the collection of them and stuff like that, it would have started in a certain part of the climate and the symbiotic life form through. I think it came through asteroid impact. I'm fairly sure. Okay, and how it affected and where it affected, where it all started for people like me. I can't tell you. Okay, where it all started for people that are on this side of the planet. And that if it started here first, because the asteroidal impact, I believe, was in, it may have not acted right at the spot where the asteroidal impacts were because of the intense ecological destruction there. Okay. So the symbiotic life form might have happened at another point where the recovery for symbiotic life, do you see what I'm saying? I don't think a lot of you understand what I'm saying, but I'm just like, it's even hard for me because I'm not an anthropologist and I'm not an archaeologist and stuff like that. All I can go by, okay, is my eternal prayers of symbiotic life forms. Do you understand? I'm not Slipknot. I was a creature before I could stand. You see, I know that's not so because the what they refer to as the evolution or the metamorphosis and stuff like that, it happened after an asteroidal impact, which meant something symbiotic joined the symbiotic mix when that asteroid hit. And then life as a human being evolved from that. Okay. So it's symbiotic. It has, like mammals and us, we need the same things in order to live and survive and so forth. And so, and it came from outer space. Well, yeah. Okay. Outer space, and you guys sit there, it's not necessarily what you need. I mean, as alien, they're like the things when they talked about Pluto. Well, of course, it's because we're one source, of course, and we're not a credit union. But you sit there and you explain to people, it's like you can't separate for yourself from space and separate space from yourself. The atmosphere is there, but you need the space in order to have what's necessary for the atmosphere to develop to maintain life as we know it. Okay, so the degrees of separation are a lot more. It's that's how do you explain it? It's not as radical and different as you think. Okay, space, you need space for Earth to exist. Okay. And so without space, Earth doesn't exist, right? And so you try to sit there and explain that to people. Do you, like when Watkins told me that with his Wicca stuff and all that, nature abhors vacuum, that's not true. Nature, as you perceive it with space, the way it acts more like what you perceive as a vacuum, needs space in order for planet Earth to have the forces of gravity and other things like that to exist in the laws. So the laws you're looking at it, you're only applying it to nature as you perceive it on your little planet. I used to tell it to my family all the time when I was a kid. It's like, no, the wrecking car people. God, you can't have God consciousness. Why? Well, because if you had the consciousness of every living creature and being on planet Earth, that would still just be this little bitty speck in this big, vast, infinite essence of... Stop talking. Okay. I was like 10 or 12 trying to explain this to people that tried to tell me, you're just being an arrogant kid. I've had God consciousness. There's no fucking way you can have God consciousness. I was nice. I didn't cuss, but you wanted to. Inside your head, you're like, what the fuck is it? Just because you look like artist representations of Jesus doesn't mean that you're God. Look, I look like artist representations of Jesus. You ought to see the younger picture. But I'm saying I'm the spirit of a faithful, eternal Father that can explain his faith in God better than people that project God on their ego. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Neil deGrasse Tyson and Chuck. Okay. Thanks, guys. That helped. Sometimes you need a little help to talk in people's vernacular. To sit there and say, I understand what you think you're saying. And what you think you know. Okay? But it's kind of like Vicini with indigo, right? I don't think that word means what you think that word is. One of my favorite movies too. Yeah, it's a very funny movie. Anybody else like Princess Bride? Yeah, and they go because Brian used to tell me I look like Mandy Patinkin, and the service he'd always walk up to me and go, "My name is Indigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die," which I didn't mind that much because I was like, "Hey, he plays opposite Barbara Streisand and Yentl, and okay, that's cool. Okay." This is the handsome leading guy who the girl wants to be with. I could do that. I could do that role. So I was like, it wasn't an insult. I liked Mandy Patinkin. I thought he was very talented. I liked him in Alien Nation, even though he was dressed like a slag. Okay, and drank sour milk, which almost made me gag and throw up. Me and Laura were like, oh, just thinking about it makes me sick, right? I'm gonna go. We'll talk tomorrow, okay, guys? I love you very much. Stop being goofy. Start being faithful.